Hey, back again. Once again, it's been a while, but you never know when God's going to tell you to just stop talking. And when you get into that relationship and He puts you to work like this, you'll know when He wants you to stop talking. So once again, even though I had so much more to say on the last topic, when it comes to the actual beginning, what really happened, it seems like all He wanted me to do at that point in time was just to put out the gist. Now, I think He's allowing me to start talking about the new church, and I'm so excited to get to this part. But today, I want to kind of explain a few things to you and just kind of tell you, how amazing God is, and what He plans on doing. So, when it comes to the tribulation and rapture, please understand that chances are you will get raptured before the tribulation. If you are a child of God, you're going to get raptured before the tribulation. However, even in the Bible, and I don't have any scriptures with me, but even in the Bible, it says that during the tribulation, His children will not have it nearly as bad as those who are not considered His children. So what that indicates to us is, yes, we are going to go through the tribulation, and during the tribulation, it's still going to be very, very hard, but we're not going to have it as hard as everybody else. And I'm excited to tell you how He's going to do that. So, in the tribulation, when we do get raptured, once again, we're not going anywhere. The rapture is us being able to see heaven, being able to get caught up in heaven with Jesus Himself. But it's still here on earth. And when you go through the rapture, you'll see it. You'll feel the difference the moment that you see it. Because there was a point in time when I was completely worldly. I loved the world. Absolutely loved it. I had so much fun. I was pretty successful in the things that I did, and just constantly moving up and being able to find myself in a higher position. However, God caught me up with Him one day, and it was the most beautiful experience I've ever been in my entire life. And it lasted a good long time. But everything was just brighter, and everything was just such bliss and such joy. Everything was simplified. There was no, I don't know even how to explain it. When you get to it, you'll understand. It's so hard to explain, but it was the most beautiful experience I've ever felt in my life. What I experienced in this world, in the secular ways of life, couldn't even compare to half of what I experienced while being able to live in God's world. That's what I would always call it. I didn't quite understand it. All I knew was that, this is like living in God's world. So that when you get raptured, that's exactly how it's going to feel. That's what you're going to experience. It's going to be beautiful. But you have to understand that you're still living on this earth, and that you don't stay there forever. You will come back to earth, and you will experience the pain again, and it's going to hurt. But once you feel that experience, once you get to live in God's world for a little while, you're going to do everything you can to get back to it. Your life mission will be getting back to God's world. And in order to do that, you've got to build a relationship with God, and eventually you've got to realize that you don't know what you're doing here, and the only way that you're going to survive this is by giving control over to God. And when you give over control to God, it doesn't mean you sit there and wait for God to say something before you do anything. That's not how that works. You need to give God the opportunity to give you an answer. Give Him a little bit of time. If time is allotted. But if not, then continue doing what you feel is best until you feel like you've gotten some sort of answer from God. Always look out for an answer from God. Always. So during this tribulation, things are going to be hard. It's going to be really, really hard at first. You're going to feel like you're drowning 24/7. You might be able to come up for breath for just a moment, possibly long enough to think that maybe it's over, and then you're going to get hit all over again. This is going to happen over and over and over again, and the only way you're going to survive this is by trusting in God. If you can do this, and you can trust God throughout that whole part, because every single time you get knocked over, you're going to start realizing, wow, this is hard, and it would be so much easier if I were to just let go and go back to the secular ways. Because if I go that route, then I know that I've got, this or that can help me along the way. But you cannot do that whatsoever. And if you can get through that, what's going to happen is your time's not going to be any easier. Trust me, it's not going to be any easier. And there are going to be times when you're going to sit there, and even though, because this is going to be a burning period where he's going to burn off all of the dependencies that you have on this world, to where all you can do is depend on him. And he's going to show you time and time again why you can trust him. There was, when I was going through the thick of it, I was making close to $30 an hour, and I got overtime all the time. Yet I couldn't pay my bills at all. And I struggled at times for getting food for my family, along with the things that we needed. So this whole, that whole year, during the really, really hard part of the tribulation for me, that whole year I struggled financially. I struggled with every last little bit of everything. And there were times where I felt like I need, if I would just go back to the secular world, do this or do that, it'd be so much easier. But I couldn't do that, because God showed me certain things that I couldn't deny. And there's no way I could go back to that after, realizing this, coming to these revelations. So I stuck to it no matter how much it hurt. And at the end of the year, even though I had absolutely no money whatsoever, I somehow managed to create the best Christmas for my kids that they have ever seen. My son even said, who's my oldest, and he's a teenager, said that this is the best Christmas that we've ever had. I mean, the presents were stacked halfway up the roof, more than halfway. And once again, you cannot make that happen without the miracle of God. So the next year, I get laid off. And I did get a bit of a severance package, nowhere near as much as what it used to be. However, it did get me through the next few months. And right before the money was going to be gone, I ended up getting a job. And this job didn't pay nearly as much. I went from making $30 an hour to $20, and barely any overtime. At the same time, the first 6 months of it, I was crying practically every single day, thinking I was going to get fired or something, because, these people just, I swear it was like abuse. But you get through those first 6 months, and they start laying off of you, once you know a little bit about, what you're doing. And trust me, it happened with all of us. I wasn't the only one. So got through that whole part, and that whole time, I still wanted to look for another job, but for some reason, even though I felt like, what this job is doing to me is ridiculous and nobody should deal with it, and some of the things they asked you to do kind of, you would think would go against your beliefs, but God sat there and told me to stay. He did not want me to go anywhere. And there were some times where I'd sit there and try and look for another job, because, even though I hear him saying stay, it still hurt too much to not do anything. So every once in a while, I'd try to look for a job, but I just couldn't stick to it. I'd go back to those words that God was telling me, or I'd be too tired, or there just wouldn't be the right jobs out. Either way, never got anywhere with looking for jobs. Then I got put into this position that everybody goes through it for a few months, and on the very first day, I I was told that I was, one of the best that they've seen in that position. And with it, after the first few weeks that I was told that I would only stay on for, they asked me to stay on permanently because they have found anybody who can do it as good as I can. So stayed on it. I was promised a raise. Everything was good until the day my director, who promised the raise, ended up getting laid off. So there I was again, thinking I gotta look for another job. I've got it. I've got to do something about this. My money is running out, and it really was starting to run out. There were a couple of times where I was kind of afraid that we might run out of money, or I was right on the brink. But somehow still made it through, and just this past couple weeks, I was at a position where if my mom did not help me out with some money because she insisted on helping me out with something, I probably would have been asking her for money anyways, asking her for help. I was that low in money. And I have been asking God, I'm like, God, I've got to do something. That's why I've been looking, really trying at least to look for another job, something better paying, some way of making a little bit more money, because I need to buy clothes for my kids. I need to fix my car. I've got things that, I did put off because I don't have that much money, and I've been telling God about this. Well, I looked at my bank account, and this is, of course, rent time, which rent has gone up an extra $100 just recently. And my bank account's showing me that after all my bills are paid, I'm still going to have over $1,000 left. And there's really no way that can happen without the miracle of God. I mean, seriously, just my last paycheck, I was about to run out of money if my mom didn't help. And now I have over $1,000. I mean, my mom did not help out that much. I mean, she helped, but not that much. So this is what I'm saying to all of you. You're going to have times when you go through the tribulation, after you're done with, the main part of the tribulation, you stuck your guns and you stuck to God, and, everything that He's taught you during these trying times. And you've, relied on Him the entire time. Life's not going to be much better afterwards. In fact, it's probably going to be worse. However, He's going to make sure that you're taken care of. If you are, asking for something, like, really asking Him to really help you out, He's going to make sure you have it, one way or another. And like this time around, I told Him, listen, I don't want help from my parents. They shouldn't have to do this. You're the one I relied on. I need your help. And He made sure that I had over $1,000 in my account so that I can get my car fixed and get clothes for my kids. I'm so blessed to have such an amazing God. And I just want everybody else to have that same relationship with Him, because it's not going to make things easier at all. Things are not going to be easier. They might even be harder. And people might look down on you more. But you'll know where God stands with you. Because He's going to do these amazing miracles. And it's going to be so much more than just, making sure you're financially set, making sure that you have your bills paid. He's going to do so much more than making sure that you have a roof over your head or food in your stomachs. I mean, I've seen Him save lives because I've asked Him to within these past few years. And really, saving the lives has only been within the past year. So, guys, your tribulation is coming. And I'm so, so sorry for what you're going to have to go through. But you've got to rely on God. You've got to build that relationship with Him. And you're going to see some of the most amazing miracles come out of it. I can't wait till the new church starts, because once, all of us saints, we go through our tribulation and we've been raptured, I believe that's when he's going to allow the new church to start. So, I mean, and there's already evidence of it starting, on an individual basis, but it's going to get so much bigger. And it's going to be a network, a networked organization that all works together like a beehive. But nobody's going to be on top. There is not going to be anybody that's on top, in charge of everything. Oh, I can't wait to tell you guys about the new church. But right now, I just want you guys to understand that building a relationship with God is so crucial in these times more than ever. And I'm not saying that things are going to be any better. In fact, they might even get so much worse. But if you take the time to stick it out now, when the time comes for things to get really, really bad, you guys are going to be fine. We are going to be fine. Because we've got God. And that's better than anything this world can offer us. So, until next time, you all keep shining.